Hi everyone, it is Nathan. I'm back with another video, and this is possibly going to be the best video that I've ever put out on this channel. This is essentially a completely automated sort of lead outreach tool that reaches out across 5 different channels. It enriches data of the leads that you upload into this database, and I honestly think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, tool that I've ever built in terms of a sort of growth hacking outreach tool. So I'll give you a bit of a sort of backstory before. This is going to be quite a long video, but I promise you it's going to be very well worth watching if you're interested in growth hacking, marketing automation, B2B sales, and anything along those lines. So a friend of mine in Sweden, who is also a growth hacker, we've been working on sort of putting together a growth hacking sort of outreach tool, and currently we're sort of collecting a lot of data from sort of LinkedIn profiles to build out a sort of back-end database that allows customers to perform outreach that is GDPR compliant to these people, and it will allow outreach across multiple different platforms. So you can send messages on LinkedIn, you can email these customers, these leads, sorry, you can send them messages on Twitter, you can follow them on Twitter, you can follow them on Instagram, you can reach out to them on Facebook, and so on and so forth. So we're currently building out like a dashboard and platform for all of this, but in the meantime I've just been sort of hacking something together myself, which I'm using personally for marketing notifier, by reaching out to competitors' customers directly. So if anyone's seen the sort of previous video that I made on reaching out to competitors' customers, this is sort of like a 2.0 version of that, but it has been completely revamped and improved. So I'm really very excited to sort of share this with you. So I'll start from the very top. Essentially, this is Airtable, which is like Google Sheets, or anything along those lines. And I just like working from this particular tool. So I'm going to take you through the entire flow. We start off by using a tool such as Built With to find people who are using our competitors. So essentially, anyone who has a script installed on their website, we can download this information from a company such as this. For example, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Crazy Egg. Here's a list of Crazy Egg, of websites that have Crazy Egg installed on their website. So we can download this list. I haven't got a subscription at the moment. I've got more than enough data to work with. And then I just simply put it into Airtable and start enriching and playing around with this data. So these are a list of websites that are using one of our large competitors or have been using them in the past. If you see an X, it means the script is no longer installed on their website. And if you see a green tick, it means they're still active customers. I prioritize ones with green ticks as we can deliver more value than our competitors. It's a very easy sell. If they're spending $79 per month and we can offer them the same tools plus more at a cheaper cost, they're much easier to acquire. All these X's are ex-customers of my competitor, and they're still worth reaching out to. We pick up a hell of a lot of customers just from doing this. But so to start off with, I'm going to assume you're in SaaS, and I'll walk you through the entire process. We're going to use Scrapebox, add-ons, page scanner, and we're just going to scan all of the URLs in here to check if they have a specific code snippet on their website. It's very easy to do, and it's going to verify yes, this pixel is installed on the website, or no, it isn't. And that is how we enrich this first step. So like I said, I then go ahead and prioritize everyone who does have it installed. So we filter all websites that have a tick, and we start working on enriching this data. So as of today, I've started working on this, finding Facebook profiles, Twitter profiles, company LinkedIn, Pinterest I don't really use. Google Plus is removed, but there's no harm in having the data, and Instagrams. So I actually can't use Instagram for outreach, but it's, again, we're just collecting this from information that is on their website. If they're linking out to Instagram, Twitter, or something on their website, we collect this data and we add it into our database. So we now have some information on these people, as you can see here. We can then do more advanced scraping, like quite specific searches. If we go into my other tab for socials, I split this up just because it's easier to work with. It's just a personal preference. For example, here is a search for, we're pulling in the website. So here's an example of someone using a competitor, superpowerstudent.com, and then we're going to do a search for the founder, CEO or owner. Again, we use Scrapebox for this to do it at scale, and it's either going to return back a result or not. I'm still working on getting this sort of really specific. There are some, for example here, now we have no result, and if you want to make sure the data is very relevant, but you're going to get less results returned, you can use the verbatim, I believe it's pronounced, which literally has to be an exact match on everything that you have here. So it's a very specific type of search within Google. Anyway, once we've done that, I then paste this into the LinkedIn section, and this is where the sort of automation and very sort of smart stuff starts coming in. All of this data, we have a link here. So Integromat is like a tool very similar to Zapier, but a lot more advanced. It's also cheaper, and it has way more, and I do mean way more sort of functionality and customization. So I've literally fallen in love with this tool, particularly from a sort of growth hacking standpoint. There's absolutely nothing that you can't do. The only limit is your imagination. I'm going to continue building on a number of different scenarios and come up with some pretty crazy automation flows. But anyway, just to get started, in Airtable we have our data stored. We then sync, we search rows for new rows if it already exists. This is a router, so depending if the row already exists, we just update that row with any new data that we found, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, social medias, emails, and so on. If the row doesn't exist in Google Sheets, then we add it as a new row. I'll just log into Google Sheets quick. So here you can see in the Google Sheets file, this is whenever we find a LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and we don't care about Instagram, then it is automatically pushed into Google Sheets. So that is literally done automatically as soon as I find more data on any of these ones here. So essentially my job is just to constantly update this database with social profiles and feed it with data. So now if we move into the automation, the tool I'm currently using is Phantom Buster, which is a great tool for growth hacking. It takes all of the pain out of doing it. This automatically runs every 4 hours. It pulls data out of this spreadsheet. So for example, here we're looking at the LinkedIn one. Whenever there's a new row, it is going to detect it every 4 hours, and it's going to run and send 10 connection requests to any new leads added here. It's going to send out a customized message saying, I saw you had our competitor installed on your website. I want to let you know about a promotion for anyone migrating to away from a competitor that we currently have going on. This is literally done automatically. I also have the same thing applying on Twitter. I haven't got it running on Facebook because I'm banned, and Instagram also because I'm banned. But anyone else can sort of take advantage of this if they wish to. Unfortunately, it's just because of my personal situation I can't. So, and then what we're also doing is going back into my APIs. We're following them on Twitter. This runs 8 times per day and follows 40 profiles per day. So again, I just need to constantly feed this database with Twitter profiles. And another great thing that we're doing is auto-liking the person's 3 most recent tweets. So we're going to follow them, and then we're going to like 3 tweets. And this automation is actually going to apply forever. So until the end of time. Whenever they post up a new tweet on their account, we're automatically going to go and like it, which means always in the back of their mind they're going to see a like is coming through from Notifier. They're already using a competitor of ours, and we're just constantly just giving them a little reminder that we exist, we offer a cheaper product, and so on and so forth. Now, the really interesting thing about the Instagram tool is the data that we're then able to collect from there. So I'll just show you how this works for anyone who isn't familiar with Phantom Buster. Once it has gone through the automation and sent out 10 connection requests, we're given a file. Is it going to? Okay, it's not going to show us it now. It's going to wait till the automation is finished. But anyway, it is a CSV file that gives us all of the results. There's a function that you can use in Google Sheets called import data, and we simply give Google Sheets the CSV file, and it automatically updates and imports all of the data that Phantom Buster is giving to us. So as you can see here, these are all of the people that we've sent out connections to. Second degree connection, third degree connection. It will also update this to first degree connections when we're telling it to keep checking on our previous invitations that have been sent out. So all of this data is saved, and I actually pass this back into Airtable so that we know who we've connected with. Now, Phantom Buster will also enrich the profiles. If you use an integration, here you can see the message that has been sent. It will pull their job title, the company that they're currently working at, and we can also get email addresses. If I can just find the row a bit further along, somewhere here is location is quite a useful metric, quite a useful piece of data to have as well. Where's here we go. So I'm currently integrating with Drop Contact. So simultaneously, whilst we are viewing all of these LinkedIn profiles, we send an API request to Drop Contact to enrich these profiles. So it gives us the email address, if it can find one. So here we've got 4 email addresses, and it also gives the website of the person. We have this data already, but it's still interesting information. And LinkedIn also gives us the first name and last name, which we're going to then move into our email automation sequence. So as you can see, this data is all stored within Google Sheets. It also gives us a picture that it has scraped from the LinkedIn profile. So if you wanted to do something quite interesting with personalization, perhaps you could use Lemlist and automatically add that person's picture onto something to make it very personalized. It depends how creepy you want to go with this data. But yeah, so this automatically updates whenever the API requests are sent through. And then we have another scenario, I haven't made any changes, which is where Google Sheets, Integromat listens for any new rows in Google Sheets whenever these are updated. Whenever our LinkedIn table is getting updated with new rows being added in, it then sends this data into Airtable. It first searches for the record to find the corresponding website, and it updates the record with the new information that we found from LinkedIn. So I've been running this for perhaps for a few hours now. I've just finished setting this up this afternoon, and here you can see some records. These are all emails that have been found from LinkedIn, and these are all first names and last names that have been automatically enriched within our original table that we are working with. So this data, we can now move on to the next sequence. So we've currently reached out to these to the prospect on LinkedIn. We've sent them a message. We can also add some further LinkedIn automation to send further follow-up messages. This is all we're capable of doing this within Phantom Buster. So we don't need to write any new code. We have all the data already within Google Sheets, so it's very easy for us to work with, and it's constantly being updated. And now we can also from the previous automation, all of the emails that we've collected from LinkedIn. This is just an easy part of our workflow. We have another Integromat automation, which whenever a record is updated, we're watching for records to get updated and have a valid email address, first name and last name. We're then creating a JSON snippet which makes a HTTP API request and sends the data over to Mailshake. If you're not familiar with Mailshake, it's just an email automation tool. We're then automatically adding them into our automation outreach campaign. So we can say, hi Ron, I sent you over a connection request on LinkedIn. I just wanted to let you know about our promotion and make it sort of very targeted and personalized. So essentially, simply from adding in a list of websites in our target market, whether you're in SaaS and you want to use people using your competitors' customers, or you want to scrape a list of websites that match a specific keyword, however you want to do this, you can set up a completely automated outreach strategy that is going to hit the prospect on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Assuming you're not banned, you could also set up Facebook automation outreach, and it's going to constantly like any new content they're putting up on Twitter. You could also set this up on Instagram to constantly like any new content they're putting up on Instagram. We could send automated messages on following on Facebook, and you can also follow up with prospects on Twitter. We're gathering the email data for free, so you can add the prospect into email automation outreach, and going on from here, potentially with the email addresses, what I'm going to look to do is add them into custom audiences on Twitter and Google remarketing. Would be my first two platforms, again because I'm banned from Facebook. I can't use Facebook ads, which would be very interesting for me, but of course you can take full advantage of this. So I hope that this has been quite an enlightening tool of how to sort of enrich a list of leads and how to set up some automation. If we want to get sort of more advanced with it, what we can also do is pull back in responses that we receive from LinkedIn. Mailshake also offer this in their API. Whenever we get a response to one of our cold emails, we can automatically add this into the database, which is going to be in our email campaign tab. Whenever a response is received, this is going to be put in here in the form of text, so we can see what the prospect said. If they've signed up for Notifier, obviously we want to stop outreach to them on all platforms, so we would simply delete them from the Airtable, and it's going to delete them from all of our other platforms, and it will stop all outreach. If they've said they're not interested, or perhaps they don't want to be contacted anymore, of course we delete them from here as well, and it's going to stop all outreach across all platforms. Essentially that is the best way, in my opinion, to automate cold outreach to a large list of prospects, enrich the profiles with data, and start acquiring some customers. This is also what I would consider like a true growth hacking tool. Really it's very, very sort of data driven. We're enriching leads full of data. We're hacking together multiple different APIs, reaching out across multiple different platforms, and I just see sort of so many people, especially on LinkedIn, because I've spent the past year reaching out to other sort of growth hackers, offering sort of Notifier, which is a sort of growth hacking tool focusing on acquisition, activation, revenue retention and referrals, because there's no other tool like that on the market that really covers all of these different growth metrics. And I speak to so many different growth hackers on a daily basis, and really the thing that I realise is no one's actually doing growth hacking. There's 2 or 3 people that I've spoken to since I've been doing this, which is maybe sort of 2 or 3 years now, who are actually doing growth hacking. One of them I'm a partner with on this business that we're working on together. The other ones are sort of working on their own sort of startups and things like that. So this is really what a sort of growth hacking tool looks like: hacking together data, reaching out by hacking together sort of APIs, automating as much as possible. So yeah, if anyone is interested, initially I was thinking to sort of open source this this database, which I haven't really got an issue doing if people want to sort of use it and use our automation. Airtable I absolutely love because we're pulling in records. It's a relational database. It's not like Google Sheets. So for example, from our database, which is the main file, we're pulling in different records and different information from all of these different tabs, and it just updates automatically. So it's very beautiful to work with. So yeah, I'm happy to sort of share the Airtable base with anyone, but they're going to have to set up the actual automation side of things on their own, which I think a lot of people are going to sort of struggle doing. So if anyone is interested, like I said, we're actually building out a sort of software platform ourselves that is going to have like a user interface. You're going to sign up to it, same as you do with any other software tool, and it's going to be a lot more sort of user friendly. And on the back end, this would all be being hacked together for you, all put together for you and programmed for you in a much more simple way. Alternatively, if people wanted a solution like this for their business, and wanted to start with a sort of growth hacking outreach tool such as this, I'd be happy to sort of have a chat with anyone and talk about sort of setting up something sort of similar. We can also take a more sort of GDPR or follow, if you're based in the EU, we can follow a GDPR compliant route of simply doing the social media outreach and not doing any cold email outreach, as we're just using sort of public data that's available on the web, which is the beauty of social media. We could also do sort of more advanced segmentation. So from LinkedIn, obviously, as you saw earlier, we're collecting the location of the prospect. So if we know that they're based within the EU and we can't do cold email outreach to them, we can simply filter them out. And if they're based in countries with more lax approach towards data and email outreach, we can enroll them into an email sequence. It's absolutely not an issue to do that. Again, that is the beauty of Integromat. You have such flexibility with your data and really advanced. I'm just going to give you a quick example of the level of sort of segmentation that you're able to offer. So here you can see the initial conditions. So does not exist, equal to, contains, does not contain, not equal to. You know, there's there's more filtering tools than anyone could possibly need. And on top of that, we have a router. So based on based on the filters, we can route over to different areas and perform different sequences, however you wish to sort of structure this, and depending on in JSON, for example, in our Airtable example, I'm just going to show you literally how much flexibility you have with this data. This isn't a good example actually. You have more flexibility with sort of Google Sheets. When you're sending the data over, you're able to filter out. I mean, there's literally more filtering options than you can imagine. You can also set up, depending if there's an error, to continue, and you can have sort of error handling. So you can create a spreadsheet where all of your errors are stored, so you know to go back to them later and figure out what the issue is. And you can send HTTP API requests to any API service. So you can literally integrate any tool available on the market with an API. So yeah, I guess with that, I would like to say a massive thank you to Integromat. This is possibly my favorite tool at the moment, just because of the level of flexibility. I'll also show you the pricing. The biggest competitor to Integromat has to be Zapier, and if we compare the pricing of the two different tools, I still am a fan of Zapier, but I'm going to be probably moving away completely. So have Zapier changed their Yeah, okay, so for $20 you get 1,000 tasks per month. For $9 you get 10 times as many tasks. For $29 you get 40,000 operations. Yeah, you're literally getting 10 times more value out of Integromat, more than 10 times more value, and for a cheaper cost. It's about 12.5 times more value. So it is literally an absolute no-brainer before you even look at the level of customization that they actually have available. It is a bit more sort of complex. I would say this is more like technically focused. Zapier, pretty much anyone can use, send data from one Zap to another. So I do appreciate it still does have its selling points with Notify. A lot of our customers do want to use Zapier and even struggle with integrations on Zapier. So Integromat is definitely going to be way too advanced for anything like that. For anyone who isn't sort of very technically minded, but if you're comfortable with sort of more advanced software plugins, then definitely make the migration over. So that is the one tool that I really sort of recommend everyone goes and checks out, and the other tool I'm going to have to shout out in this video. Again, I'm not affiliated with any of these tools, but yeah, it is definitely Phantom Buster. It's essentially an API store built for growth hacking. So if you're doing sort of marketing automation, you definitely want to be using this. As you can see, these are all different plugins that I can integrate into this sequence in a matter of minutes. They have Intercom message sender, so I could scrape all of the companies here that have Intercom installed on their website and send a message to them via Intercom. I can do LinkedIn auto endorsing, so I can, within literally 2 minutes, add in another step into this outreach flow to go and endorse everyone who's in our Google Sheets tab. Yeah, you can get so creative with it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out both of these tools. Yeah, if you're interested to set up some sort of similar automation flow to this, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help if you're trying to set it up yourself. If you have any questions about any specific areas of it or anything that I've been a bit light on and you need some information on, I'm more than happy to help. Or if you're not technical at all and you want someone to set this up for you, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to help. So I hope that this has been. Actually, sorry. One other thing, just before I mention this as well, is sort of scraping some of this data. I think it's worth mentioning that I have been absolutely amazed at how good sort of scraping this data is. I can't think of any off the top of my head to give you a demonstration, but some Facebook and sort of Twitter profiles that to me seemed completely irrelevant to the initial website. I don't even know how they're linked together because there was no tag of the website on the page, which is obviously how Google search is working pretty much. I even checked in the source code to see if I could see if it's hidden within the HTML, and I couldn't find anything. And I was initially thinking this profile isn't relevant to this website. I've done something wrong in my scraping. But then if I was doing more background research, I'm trying to think of an example, but I would find that the personal Twitter profile is actually the CEO of the company. So how this data is being linked together, I'm not quite sure. It has made me question sort of Google's search results and how they're sort of linking this all together. Is I couldn't find any direct correlation without doing more research on external pages. But I've been amazed at how laser targeted the social media profiles are, and because I'm setting up this automation as we speak, I think a lot of people are going to be so shocked at how good the marketing campaign is when they realise that I'm reaching out to their personal Twitter profiles and sending over such a targeted message. Often when I do this type of automation, I'm pitching Notify to companies. I simply get the response of, yeah, we'll use your tool if you tell me how you built such a targeted campaign, reaching out to me on LinkedIn, knowing that you had this product installed on my website, and then on top of that, building out automation further to go in and like their different social media profiles and send out a targeted email. I think a lot of prospects are often quite sort of mind blown at targeted you're able to get, but sometimes you do get the opposite response of like, how have you got my data? Which is, all the data here is sort of publicly available on through Google searches. Is literally how everything here is being acquired. But yeah, I honestly think this is the best outreach tool. I've only finished setting up today, so I'll share the results with you in sort of next couple of weeks. As soon as I got this set up, I was just very excited to share and make a video, and I haven't made a sort of true growth hacking video recently. I've been sharing more sort of little tips and tricks and things that I find online, which I hope are also beneficial to you, but I know that most of my viewers and the best response I get is usually to sort of long growth hacking videos such as this, with sort of real automation and advanced outreach sort of built into it. But to be quite honest, it is very hard to release videos like this on a consistent weekly basis, because I have to come up with the automation, I have to build everything, and yeah, unfortunately it does take some time. But yeah, I hope you appreciate the video. Like I said, any questions, anything like that, please leave a comment and I'll be happy to help, and I'll share the results of the outreach in the coming weeks. Yeah, thanks for watching.